Let's cut the bullshit. What you call ambition isn't hunger, it's conditioning that worked. You were trained to confuse owning more with being better. Somewhere along the way, you bought the idea that moving up in life means surrounding yourself with more expensive stuff, while quietly selling more and more of your time to keep it all running. It starts early. Comfort equals progress. Stability equals success. Wanting less equals failure. From that point on, anything that increases the cost of your life feels like growth. You don't ask what it costs to maintain, you just chase the upgrade. Then comes the dangerous part. When luxury turns into obligation, your standard goes up, your freedom goes down. Now you can't earn less, you can't slow down, you can't say no. You are not living better, you are more locked in. Just locked into something nice enough that you refuse to call it a cage. And the most impressive part, you defend it. You call it being responsible. You call it phase of life. What it really is, fear of stepping off the script, fear of downsizing, fear of looking like you fell behind. So you keep running, not to get anywhere, just to avoid dropping out. That's the trap. The faster you run, the more expensive it becomes to stop. You call it achievement, but what you actually lost is choice. The bigger house didn't give you space, it gave you bills. The nicer car didn't give you freedom, it gave you anxiety. At some point, you are not building a life anymore, you're just raising the minimum cost of existing. And while you call that success, someone else calls it customer loyalty. Keep in mind that when I finally have mindset isn't planning, it's procrastination wearing a suit. It works because no one questions it, everyone understands it, everyone's doing it, and that's exactly why it quietly wrecks entire lives. You are not living in the present, you are managing the present to fund a fantasy future, a future where everything's aligned, calm, and finally ready, where you give yourself permission to live. That future doesn't exist, that's why it feels so safe. The truth is simple, there has never been a right time. It's a myth designed to justify staying still. While you wait for perfect conditions, time doesn't wait for you. It moves on, cold, indifferent, no refunds. You call this being cautious. Most of the time, it's just fear with a calendar. Fear of starting now and failing without excuses. Fear of finding out the dream wasn't that magical. So you push it to later. Later feels safer. The problem is that delay charges interest, not financial, existential. Every year you wait, you lose energy, edge, nerve, until one day the external conditions finally improve and you don't have it in you anymore. That's how the most common modern tragedy happens. People who did everything right and still feel empty. They followed the rules, checked the boxes, played it safe, and one day they wake up realizing life passed through them without stopping. Life doesn't start when everything is solved. It happens while things are messy. And every time you say later, you are betting that you will still have time, health, and courage in the future. That bet loses every single day. But you act like you will be the exception. Delay doesn't kill you instantly, it numbs you. You stay productive, functional, praised, but hollow. It's not that you die young, it's worse. You live a long time without ever really living. Now let's drop the abstractions. This isn't a metaphor, it's accounting. Take your monthly income and divide it by the hours you sell every month. What comes out isn't a salary, it's the exchange rate between your life and money. 1 hour of focus, energy, patience, existence, converted into a number. Now walk through your place with that number in mind. That TV isn't entertainment, it's time you will never get back. That couch is comfort paid with days you erased. The car? That wasn't a purchase. That was a long-term trade of your future for mobility and image. You didn't just buy objects, you locked yourself into maintaining them. That's where the trap tightens. Because once your life costs more, you can't afford to earn less. You can't afford uncertainty. You can't afford to step away. Risk becomes irresponsible. Freedom becomes expensive. The line from Tyler Durden wasn't poetic exaggeration. Ownership quietly rearranges your priorities until stability matters more than autonomy. You don't choose the job anymore. The job chooses you. Debt finishes the job. Credit turns past consumption into future labor. You are not paying for what you have. You are paying interest on what you already moved on from. Months of work vanish just to keep yesterday legal. It's labor without creation, effort without progress. That system isn't new, only the interface is. Back then, control was obvious. Now it's automated, friendly, and framed as freedom of choice. And then there is the long con, retirement. Decades of your sharpest years traded for the promise of reduced obligation later, when your body is lower, your energy thinner, and your curiosity dulled. If everything goes right, if nothing breaks first. It's a deal that survives only because no one runs the numbers honestly. Henry David Thoreau suggested something radically offensive to this logic. Structure your life so it needs less fuel, fewer expenses, fewer obligations, not later, now. Because the real leverage isn't earning more, it's needing less. And once you see that clearly, the math stops working against you. Here's something modern life doesn't warn you about. Choice can become noise. You felt it, staring at endless menus, comparing options that barely differ, walking away tired instead of satisfied, not because you are indecisive, but because your brain is overloaded. More options don't expand your freedom, they dilute it. Research backs this up. Barry Schwartz showed that when choices explode, satisfaction collapses. Decision-making turns heavy, regret increases, confidence drops. The story you were told was different. More options meant empowerment. Access meant progress. Your nervous system disagrees. For most of human history, decisions were limited by reality. Today they are unlimited by design, and every extra option competes for attention, drains focus, and fragments commitment. The result isn't better decisions, it's mental fatigue. You don't feel drained because life is physically hard. You feel drained because your attention is constantly taxed by trivial comparisons. Hundreds of low-stakes decisions bleed energy from the moments that actually matter. And once you finally choose, another problem appears: doubt, the shadow of alternatives, the sense that maybe something better was left behind. The hesitation sticks, even after the decision is made. That's not intuition, it's excess. Henry Thoreau didn't solve this by optimizing choice. He removed it. Fewer clothes, fewer possessions, fewer daily decisions. Not as an aesthetic, but as a defense mechanism. Every eliminated choice was mental bandwidth reclaimed. While modern life pulls you in 50 directions at once, simplicity concentrations attention. It allows presence, commitment. Freedom isn't infinite possibility. It's the ability to move forward without constant second guessing. The fewer unnecessary decisions you carry, the more capacity you have for the ones that matter. Simplifying isn't minimalism. It's reclaiming your attention from a system that profits when you stay distracted. Now let's be honest. That expensive pair of sneakers wasn't for you. You know it. Comfort costs a lot less than that. So the real question is simple. Who were you trying to impress? Not your family, they don't care. Not your close friends, they really don't care. And deep down, you don't care either. So who's left? Strangers. People you will never see again. Or worse, acquaintances you don't even respect. People stuck in the same pointless race, all trying to signal value to each other using stuff none of them can comfortably afford. That's not social life, that's collective theater. Everyone acting, everyone watching, no one enjoying it. This isn't new. Thorsten Veblen nailed it over a century ago. He explained that status consumption isn't about utility, it's about signaling. Showing you can waste money is the signal. It's modern peacocking. The difference is a peacock does it to reproduce. You are doing it to earn approval from people who are just as insecure and just as broke as you are. And the ugly truth is that most people you see winning are drowning in debt. It's not wealth, it's performance. Everyone pretending to be ahead while quietly panicking behind the scenes. A race to look successful before the bill comes due. Scroll through Instagram for 5 minutes. It's a gallery of rented lifestyles. One expensive dinner that wrecked the month. One trip split into 12 payments. One branded outfit bought for the photo, not the life. It's all signaling, and everyone knows it's fake. But no one wants to stop, because if the game ends, the emptiness shows. That's the trap. The Great Gatsby is the perfect case study. Jay Gatsby builds a fortune, throws massive parties, surrounds himself with people, all to be admired. When he dies, no one shows up, because no one cared about him. They cared about access. If that feels extreme, it's only because you are running the same script on a smaller budget. Buying image, maintenance appearance, calling it connection. And here's the test no one wants to run. If the money disappeared tomorrow, how many people would still be around? Not out of loyalty, but because the relationship was real. Henry Thoreau opted out of this entirely. No status, no performance, no applause. By social standards, he looked like a failure, and he didn't care, because he understood something brutal. Status is a game with no finish line. There is always someone above you, always a higher tier, always a new way to feel behind. The game is designed so you never win. The only winning move is not playing. When you stop trying to impress, something unexpected happens. Your life gets lighter. You buy what works, not what signals. You choose what matters, not what performs. And the irony, authenticity stands out. In a world of facades, being real attracts attention, but by then it doesn't matter, because you are no longer chasing it. Status asks you to trade time, money, peace, and identity for applause from people you don't even admire. It's a bad deal. It always was. Now think about it. When was the last time you spent 10 minutes alone with your own thoughts? No phone, no music, no background noise, no distraction. If that idea already feels tense, congratulations. You are perfectly adapted to the system. Because this isn't accidental. It's by design. Modern economies depend on you never reaching mental silence. Silence is dangerous. You might notice things you are supposed to ignore, that you are not fulfilled, that you are running on autopilot, that your priorities are upside down. And if you notice that, you might change. And if you change, you might consume less. So the noise never stops. Notifications, feeds, videos, background audio, content stacked on content. not because it improves your life, but because it keeps you from hearing yourself thinking. Ancient traditions understood this long before it became a wellness trend. Monks didn't seek silence for aesthetics. They did it because an undisciplined mind is a prison, thoughts bouncing, anxiety looping, and you stuck inside it. Henry Thoreau went to Walden to manufacture silence, not just externally, but internally. Away from constant demands, constant noise, constant stimulation, and in that silence he found clarity, something modern life quietly erases. Today, your brain is under constant assault. Messages, alerts, infinite content, ads disguised as entertainment. Your nervous system never resets, and instead of thinking deeply, you react shallowly. Neuroscience calls it cognitive overload. In real terms, your mind switches to survival mode. Focus dies, reflection disappears. Everything becomes immediate, impulsive, fragmented. That's why reading feels hard, why complex problems feels impossible. It's not a lack of intelligence, it's attention drowning in cheap dopamine. Thoreau wrote his sharpest ideas in silence. No playlist, no feed, just sustained thought. Today, most people can't finish a video without checking their phone, not because they are weak, but because they were trained that way. A simpler life doesn't eliminate stimulation, it reduces noise. And in the space that opens up, something returns. A functioning mind, one that can focus, create, reflect. Mental silence is the rarest luxury of the modern world, not because it costs money, but because it requires giving up the distractions that keep you from yourself. Most people would rather drown in noise than sit quietly long enough to face what's there. Thoreau did. And that's why he was free.